Congress could be moving closer toward a compromise on gun control legislation. The House Judiciary Committee will meet tomorrow, and a dialogue has started between senators on both sides of the aisle. Congressional correspondent Scott MacFarlane is in Washington with more on this. Scott, good morning.
Good morning. There is such anger, according to members of Congress, based on what you just heard, the narrative you just heard, that sequence of events in Uvalde. There is a suspicion, Anne-Marie and Errol, that there's an opening for some type of progress on gun control legislation.
So, Scott, what can we expect to happen at the House Judiciary Committee hearing tomorrow, if anything? And what does legislation look like? What are they bouncing around?
They're bouncing around some pretty significant pieces of legislation that appear on a dead end in the U.S. Senate. But here's what the House is going to talk about tomorrow when the Judiciary Committee reconvenes here in Washington, D.C. The proposals include raising the minimum age for the purchase of some semi-automatic rifles, a ban on those large-capacity magazines for ammunition, and making law the regulations that were imposed after the Las Vegas tragedy to limit or ban the use of bump stocks. That's some of what the House Judiciary Committee will debate, discuss, and pass tomorrow. They have the votes in the U.S. House where a simple majority is needed, but there's no trajectory, Anne-Marie and Errol, to get those to 60 votes in the U.S. Senate. I'll mention something else. Every member of the House Judiciary Committee will likely attend and potentially speak at tomorrow's hearing. And I'm told Philadelphia area Democrat Mary Gay Scanlon will be among those speaking. She's on the Judiciary Committee, and she will likely recount her face-to-face experience with possible gun violence. She was carjacked violently earlier this year. There will be more discussions about the pervasiveness of gun violence in America, that it's not just the horrors of Uvalde or Buffalo, but that dozens of mass shootings are happening each month in cities far and wide. That's going to be the undercurrent tomorrow, Anne-Marie and Errol, of votes in the House Judiciary Committee.
And that's the point, Scott. There is no shortage of people who have direct experience and have some type of story to tell. We're seeing this nationwide wave of anger once again, but these discussions don't seem to go anywhere tangible. You have a bipartisan group of senators who met yesterday to discuss gun legislation. Any idea of what came of those talks or what might come of them?
Now, they're going to talk again today, if that's any sign of progress yesterday. The virtual meetings will continue between this small group of U.S. senators. It's worth reminding folks that they're not here in Washington. They have this very long Memorial Day recess, so they're all back in their home states, and they're meeting virtually, which might lead to more productive conversations because they're not under the microscope of staff and their colleagues in the Capitol Press Corps. These are the four senators who spoke yesterday. 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans. Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut is the leader of these talks. He's brought in John Cornyn, the Republican from Texas, who's been assigned by Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell to be part of these discussions. Also Tom Tillis of North Carolina and the moderate Kyrsten Sinema from Arizona. There could be other players joining the call today. We know this bipartisan group includes other well-known Republicans, including Lindsey Graham of South Carolina. It includes other Democrats, also well-known, Joe Manchin from West Virginia. We'll see who's part of today's meetings. We know they're talking about the possibility of red flag law support from the federal government, funding grant money to help states pass and enact red flag laws, which allow judges to order guns seized from people deemed to be dangerous. They're also talking about tightening any loopholes in the background check system. But and this is important, they're also having conversations about hardening of schools, enhancing school security, mental health support in America. Those are Republican positions coming after Uvalde, that schools need to be hardened. It's an indication Democrats are keeping an open door on that to get Republicans to open the door on possible gun control.
All right, Scott MacFarlane, thank you very much.